Hello, I'm Lindsay. We'll do some really simple yoga and breathing techniques together today. Just make sure you're comfortable. If anything doesn't feel right at all, then please don't do it. Relax as much as you can and we'll just see where it takes us today. So come and lie down with me. So coming onto the floor, we're going to bend our knees and place our feet flat. And a little tuck of the chin so that the back of the neck's quite long. Collarbones are wide and be aware of your shoulder blades on the floor. Is it possible to have a little sense of a heaviness through the rib cage? So we're connected with the rib cage or the torso in the floor and then the pelvis. Now the feet land where they land, they're about hip distance apart. The heels are more or less underneath the knees, but make sure there's no sensation, no pain in the knees. Wherever the feet land, we want our knees to be comfortable. So we're almost building this shape from the knees to the feet and the knees to the hips. So I'd like you to really notice your body against the floor. So the back of the head, the shoulders, the rib cage, the pelvis and the feet. And begin to notice your breath if that's possible. The breath in two nostrils. Is it possible to be aware of the breath in both nostrils? And then could we put one hand on our tummy and one hand on our, what yoga would call your heart space, so somewhere above the breastbone. If that's not comfortable, totally two hands, backs of the hands could be on the floor. So is it possible to notice the breath in the body? Do you know, underneath either hand? You might notice that the breath's high up in the chest or lower down under this hand that's on the tummy, on the abdomen. Where do you feel the breath the most? Now, we know that chest breathers tend to be more anxious people. And more anxious people tend to be chest breathers. So if that applies to you, do you know, it is a vicious circle sometimes. So is it possible to bring the breath down under this hand, the one that's on the abdomen? As we breathe in, you might begin to notice that the tummy rises. And as you breathe out, you might notice that the tummy falls back. Now, we're not making it happen. We're just noticing that it is happening. So as we breathe in, abdomen moves into the hand. And as we breathe out, the abdomen falls back. So that's our diaphragm that makes that happen. Diaphragmatical breathing, really important for our physical and mental health and well-being, for both, for sure. So as we begin to breathe out, is it possible to very gently squeeze the abdomen back and up under the rib cage? So rather than pressing the waistband into the floor, keeping the pelvis reasonably still and level, breathing out, squeezing tummy back, but up under the ribs. Breathing in and out through your nose. So being aware of the breath in two nostrils, both nostrils. Is it possible to make our breath silent or as quiet as we can? Smooth, even. So inhale and exhale, similar lengths. And continually flowing, so there's no pauses, top or bottom. I call this resting breath. If there's any discomfort in the legs, do feel free to walk the feet just a little bit further away. An alternative might be to have a rolled up blanket or a bolster or a cushion handy, and you could place that behind the thighs here and let the legs relax a little bit more. So yoga thinks about the breath as having three parts. This diaphragmatical part that we've mentioned, the rise and fall of the abdomen. So let's come back there just for a moment. So noticing how the tummy lifts, the abdomen lifts as you breathe in, and how it falls back as we breathe out. And then yoga also talks about breathing from the rib cage, this kind of thoracic area. So perhaps we place our hands there, and as we breathe in, notice that it's a three-dimensional breath that we're having. So the ribs move forward, sideways, and to the floor behind as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, the ribs narrow again. Breathing in, expanding, breathing out, softening. And then the third part, you might bring the hands quite high up onto the collarbones, clavicle area. Maybe the elbows will settle on the floor. If not, the elbows could be much wider. And again, not just breathe into the front of the body, breathe into the whole of the chest area, so into the hands, almost breathing into your armpits, if you can imagine what that might be like, and into the space between the shoulder blades. So very much a three-dimensional breath, not just breathe into the front or the bits that we can see. And then using one very simple movement to bring those three parts of the breath together. Taking the palms to the floor, either side of the hips. Keeping the rib cage connected to the floor if that's possible. Breathing abdomen, rib cage, and up into the upper part, and taking the arms behind the head simultaneously. So, very simply beginning with a breath out through both nostrils, mouth closed if that's possible, nose breathing, so important. Taking a gentle breath out, and then breathing in, sweeping two arms all the way behind the head. Breathing tummy, ribs, armpits, and then breathing out to come all the way back down with those hands, and really gently drawing back your tummy button up under the rib cage as you breathe out. So a few breaths like this, breathing in through the nose to take the arms behind the head. Now it matters not where the hands come behind you. All our shoulders are very different. Some of you very comfortably will get your hands to the floor behind the head and the upper arms to the ears. My shoulders don't work like that. I only come a little way back. But really we're breathing first, and the movement's quite secondary here. And then as the arms are reaching above the head, is it possible to get towards the top of your inhale at that point? And as the hands come back to the floor, Is it possible to come to the end of the exhale at that point? Breathing in, arms lift. Keeping the rib cage connected to the floor, and breathing out, they lower. Is it possible to do that in your own breathing rate? Rather than following me, I'm talking. So my breathing rate will be quite different from yours. And just a couple more breaths like this. Continuing as long as you need to, as long as it felt good, and as long as you have time. To come up off the floor, we'll all do something different here quite possibly. I tend to bring my knees in towards my chest. Maybe stretch out the lower back a little. I rock onto my right, but you might be more comfortable coming a different way up. Coming up to sit. Enjoy how you feel.